It is hard to believe that it has been over a year since I picked up my 1989 Jeep Grand Wagoneer Project FSJ, and I haven't done anything to it yet. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Second Chance Overland. And today we are going to get started on doing some work on Project FSJ. This is my 1989 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, and it is a bit rough. The reason it hasn't had much done to it is there's a lot to do and I just haven't had time for it with all the other projects. I've also been collecting some parts, which I'll show you here in just a moment. So I have a lot of stuff to do on this thing. I've got a lot of tune-up stuff. I've got new radiator hoses. I've got fuel filter, thermostat, coil plugs, wires, air filter, cap and rotor, new water pump because I'm pretty sure that's leaking on it, oil pan and oil pan gaskets. I've got some replacement lower rear quarters because these are pretty well rotted out. And then I've got valve cover gaskets and oil pan gaskets and some of that fun stuff. So now these old classic Jeeps are getting harder and harder to find. A lot of them were actually lost to the crusher back in, I think it was the mid 2000s when they did the Cash for Clunkers program. That's where a lot of old cars like this classic Jeep got turned in for way too much money to be crushed, for people to get into newer, more fuel efficient, more emission efficient vehicles. And it's really a shame that so many of these classic vehicles, not just Grand Wagoneers, but everything in this vintage, were lost to the crusher. So really happy that I was able to find this one and hopefully we can save it. I'm not completely sure yet of what direction I'm going to go on this. I've gone back and forth between doing more of a restoration to it, or more of an Overland style build, or just kind of a classic off-road style build. So got a couple of ideas, but let me know in the comments below what you would like to see me do to this classic Jeep. Let's check out the underside of this thing. It is just caked in gunk and fluid and all kinds of stuff. So looks like we got oil and possibly antifreeze coming from the front. I think the water pump is probably leaking on this. Look at the backside here. Look at just how nasty and wet all of that is. A drip of oil coming from the drain plug, the transmission pan. Oh, look at that. It is just sopping wet and covered in junk. So that's some of the stuff I'm going to start taking care of. Here is an absolutely terrible design in my opinion. You got the drain plug there and it is going to shoot straight down onto the rear diff. So getting something in there to be able to catch the oil is going to be fun. This is probably going to make one heck of a mess. So we're gonna start getting some of these fluids drained and start pulling this thing apart. We'll start getting things cleaned up and get this thing rocking and rolling here. All right, so work is progressing on the Wagoneer project. As you can see, I have the axles now removed. Still gotta pull the springs out, but the axles are removed. The fuel tank is removed, drive shafts, obviously parking brake cables hanging down, and the front axle. So I still gotta pull these front leaf springs out, but you can see just all of the dirt and grime. I've started removing some of the bolts for the oil pan, and I decided to hold off and scrape some of this gunk off, see if I can get it cleaned up a little bit. But one fun thing I noticed is that the motor mount right up here is not bolted to the block at all. It is on the passenger side, but on the driver's side, there are no bolts holding that sucker in. So that's fun. The joys of working on old vehicles, right? So this thing has been absolutely caked in dirt and God knows what else So check out the fuel tank situation here. That's all that dirt and crap built up. I took a big old nest off here, but the entire thing is just full of dirt and gunk. So I do have a new skid plate coming for the fuel tank, so that is on its way. I do already have the new suspension for it. I got a lot of cleanup to do here on the engine bay. I do need to figure out exhaust. I've got, let's see here, passenger side header here. One stud came out, another stud broke off, so I need to see if I can reasonably extract that. So that's going to be fun. I do have a new radiator for it and fan shroud, so an upgraded aluminum radiator. I've got oil pan gasket, I got valve cover gaskets, water pump, thermostats, radiator hoses, rear main seal, transmission pan and gasket and filter sets. I got a lot of stuff for this thing, and there's even more coming. So, so plugging away on this, and yeah, at least making some progress. Let me show you the axles here. So here are the axles. And you can actually see right here, check this out. So this is where the axle was attached to the frame with everything. And you can see just how much dirt and grime is built up on that. That is unbelievable. Look at all that. And the whole thing is just caked in it. So it's definitely gonna take some time to get all this stuff cleaned up. But we'll definitely do that. But anyways, we're gonna get going here a little bit more on the Wagoneer. I'm gonna get, like I said, I gotta get these old springs pulled out, which I think is gonna take a little bit of cutting to get them out, but we'll get that figured out. So, God, all the grime on this thing, just look at all that. It's just disgusting. So, gonna be some work. All right, let's get going. All right, so I got the axles cleaned up pretty well. Still got a little bit of work I'll do to finish cleaning them up, but that is a ton better than it was. So I got those pretty well cleaned up. So I'm gonna do some work on the fuel tank here. I've got a new skid plate for it to drop into with all the hardware and pieces for it. I've also got a new fuel sending unit. So I've drained the fuel out of the tank, and I'm gonna get some of this dirt off the top here, and then I'll lift it out of the old skid plate here, and yeah, start prepping this thing to put in the new skid. But this thing's in pretty bad shape, and just look at all that dirt and grime built up in that thing over the years. It is pretty nasty. Who knows what I'm gonna find? So let's get started on this.